Now that we have configured the monitor buses, sources, destinations as well as the module configurations for the DSP power, it's time that we connect functions to knobs. To do this, we select the hardware settings and go to the service configuration page. On the page Service Configuration, we see 5 objects or devices in the column MemberNet Address. These are 4 fader control panels, a control room monitor panel and an Axum meter application. This we can also see in the picture of the system we show you here. We have loaded the Axum with default configuration, but this can be changed according to your needs, of course. We start with the 4 fader control servers by clicking on Configure in the Settings column. Then a new page opens and we see here many different objects that are present on these nodes. On top we have the display, the encoder, and the encoder switch, that is part of the encoder, and then we have all the switches. The switches are numbered. The first number is the channel in which the switch is located, and the second number is the position of the switch in that channel or module. So if we look at the panel, we see switch 1.1, this is 2.1, this is 3.1, and this is 4.1. We can see that on the first switch, 1.1, we have programmed the dump function. On the switch 1.2, we have a module preset function. Switch 1.3 is a program on-off. Switch 1.4 is a record on-off. Switch 1.5 is a PFL, and so on up to switch 1.8. If we want to change the function of the switch, we click on the function of that particular switch and we get a choice out of our functions we can assign to that switch. For switch, there are many functions available. We have a number of sub-functions listed in this drop-down menu. We have module-related functions such as EQ on and off, module on off, bus on off. We have bus functions to assign signals to a bus. We have monitor bus functions to switch the control room monitor to PFL, dump or program bus. We have console functions, global functions, and source functions for a specific source. And finally, we have destination functions. Let's first have a look at the module functions. If we choose a module function, we need to make clear for which module this is. Here we select module 1. We select preset A or preset B. So if we select preset A for this switch, preset A will be loaded when this switch is activated. No other module or no other function will be controlled by this switch. Module preset AB will alternate between preset A and B. It does not matter if it's a main preset A1, 2, 3 or 4, the switch will always load the preset A or B within this main preset. You can also select a dedicated preset such as 1A, 1B, 2A or 2B. We can select the phantom to be active on a source that has been selected on this module. So when I select source phantom, the system first looks at which source is selected on this module, and on that source phantom is activated. This goes also for the PET, the source gain level, of course. On the module itself, we can switch the insert on and off. Other module functions are phase, gain, low cut on off, several equalizer functions, dynamics on off, mono, pen reset, module on, module off, or module on off for alternating this function. We can open a fader and activate the on switch or close the fader. We can also reset a level on a module. Here we can activate or deactivate various buses such as program, record. We can adjust the level and reset it for the pen pot and balance pot. We can also activate or deactivate various buses, such as program bus, record bus, and many others. We can adjust the level of pen pot and balance pots. And we have a lot of buses we can activate by this switch. Remember, bus 3132 is the on-air bus. Then there are a number of source functions that are very convenient, a function such as source start. This function generates a start control signal for the source that is activated on this module. Normally, you want to generate a start control signal that belongs to the source that is selected on the module. So if you select another source in that module, the start signal also needs to go to the new source and not linked to the old source. So a start function is made on the module source start. We also have a module source stop, start stop, and we have a cuff function that is used on our mix source. And we have a source alert that we use as an alert in the mixer. Every source has its own alert that can be used to indicate overload in a module. But also for ring detector for hybrid it can be used for. Then we have the routing presets. We can make presets for routing and for talkback signals to a related destination. If a source has a related destination, then this switch can check which source is active and then activate talkback 1 to a related destination. Then we have console 1, 2, 3 and 4 reset. It looks which mixer this is and puts it back in its default setting. The select function 1, 2, 3 and 4 are functions controlled by the central controller unit for the encoder. The encoders can have several functions. It can be a function that belongs to a module, but can also be a module that belongs to a select function. Let's have a look at the bus. Here you select for which bus the function will be active, in this case program. What can we do for this bus? We can reset bus master levels and generate a talkback signal on this bus output. When the talkback signal is generated on the bus output, the mixer will check on which output and on which destination this bus is active, and then will eject the talkback signal. So, talkback is not really routed to a bus, but software will check which buses are routed to which destinations, and there a talkback signal will be generated. Monitor bus. Select the monitor bus. Then select which monitor bus will be active, in this case control room monitor. Now you can select out of the several buses. In this case program on or off can be activated, or program alternating on or off. This goes for all the buses, of course. We can also switch on or off external inputs and of course mute dim mono, phase and talkback signal. By assigning talkback 1 to the CRM bus, it means that on every destination that has a CRM as a source, talk 1 will be active. So again, we're not talking to a bus, but to the output of those modules that are connected to the CRM bus. Console. Here we select which console we want a function to be active by pushing this switch 2 to 1. We can activate a number of functions here. But the bottom line is that we can manipulate the console into a mode. If the console is in control mode source, the encoder will select the source. Sources like gain, phantom and all other functions we can select globally. But also master functions like master output levels, bus levels, master and control mode. In this case, when Master and Control Mode Auxiliary 1 is selected, this control function will adjust the master level, and locally the encoder will adjust the aux level on the module. And then of course we have the program end time enable that can be activated. We also can activate the console chip card change. That will be dealt with later in other demos. Global. The most important function is of course red light. The moment we assign global red light 1 to this switch, red light 1 will be activated by means of this switch. The internal LED will also light if red light 1 is activated. Then of course we have the console presets that we can load by way of a switch. We have names attached to a preset, so we can easily find it the next time. Then we have the source. There are specific source functions. If I select the DJ mic and then select here Phantom, that means that this switch 1.1 will always switch on or off the phantom power of the DJ mic. So it doesn't matter what has been activated on the module, this switch will always switch on or off phantom power of the DJ mic. In this way, a switch function on a module will not be used as a module switch function but tied to a source, in this case phantom of the DJ mic. This function is very handy when you frequently want to use the phantom or any other function for a source. Normally this function will not be used very often because it's more clear to only have module related functions activated for this module and source related to this module. Destination is about the same principle. If you select here for instance a DAT recorder and I select DIM, then this switch will always activate DIM for the DAT recorder's output. More useful is of course to use this function for the CRM speakers. In this way, this switch will always activate or deactivate the dimming of the CRM speakers. It doesn't matter what the module is used for, this switch will always be the CRM dim switch. I do not save this example and leave it at the dumb bus on off. We see here a lot of switch function. Let's have a look at an encoder. Here we click on the label Module 1 Control. Now we're going to select something else, for instance source. Now we can see all possible functions an encoder can do for us. We select input gain and now we can adjust the DJ mic's level. The moment I attach this function to this encoder, I will always adjust the DJ mic's gain.